Have you ever been victimized by New Age spirituality?
We've been waiting for you. We've been waiting.
You're gonna want to listen up.
I'm Megan, an intuitive life coach and Reiki master.
I'm Ryan, a professional astrologer, and we want to show you what spirituality is by talking about what it is not.
Con artist.
Yes.
Snake oil salesman.
There are so many susceptible people out there.
And then they're tainted. They're ruined. They don't want to come back to spirituality.
We still have a lot to learn, and we will humble ourselves and learn, I think, every freaking day. This is Clairanoyance,
a podcast of spiritual interference.
Welcome back to Clairanoyance.
Hello.
I'm Ryan, and that's Megan.
I'm Megan. How's everyone today?
Did I ever tell you about the time that I accidentally went on a date with a medium?
Yeah, but I think this happened to you not once, but twice.
It did happen to me twice.
With like two different fellows.
It did happen to me twice. It did. I was more so thinking of the first time, but...
And then your dad's like, I have something to say to my son. Like,
I know. Both of them channeled him.
Yeah.
And they channeled my dead ex-boyfriend, which that's a different story. But yeah, that was like one of the craziest mediumship things I've ever, I think, dealt with in my life. God, that was weird. He duped me. He literally duped me. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like we went on this like Tinder date, basically, and I get to his place and
you were salty about it. You're a little salty about it.
But it was also
understandably. But it was
because I was like, I'm here for a freaking date, bro. And he's like, when I saw your picture, I had like messages coming through, and now that you're here, I really do. Do you want to hear them? And I was like,
well,
okay.
That's not what our next guest has not duped you into a date.
This is the real deal. Real deal. Everybody, this is Katie O'Brien, who is a medium, but I'm just gonna like let her dive right in and introduce herself and explain exactly what you do, because I know that you are multi-talented. Please.
Hi, I'm Katie. And yes, it's still kind of weird to say it. Like, yeah, I'm a medium. I really hate saying that I'm a psychic because it just has like such a weird vibe. Like everybody's like, ooh, you know,
it's
like
a weird connotation. Yeah, I could see that.
Totally. It sounds so much better when you say intuitive or empathic. But really, when it comes down to it, like hands down, yes, mediumship, all the things. That's what I am. That's what I do. And that is just channeling past loved ones, guides, and angels, right? And I will say, not for nothing, I'm not going to dupe you. I'm not going to do it out in public like that. I'm not going to go on a date with somebody just to like give them messages. I am totally like quote unquote normal most of the time, right? You switch it on and off, and it's like I'm either working or I'm just Katie. So anyways, yeah, I give messages to clients that come from past loved ones and from guides. A lot of times it's not just like dad who's coming in or your dad ex-boyfriend. It can also be like just from your guides being like, yo, I know you got some new shoes today. That's because you're trying to walk, and you really should, because that would be really good for your health. P.S. Get outside because it's good for your brain. Like there's other messages that can come in too, not just ones from healing and grief and stuff like that. So that's why a lot of times I call them like soul readings, because it's not just mediumship. It's kind of like a big like, I don't know. It's soul readings is more of an umbrella term for it, you know?
Like a massage. Yeah, no, I love that.
I like that a lot.
You're not limited. You know, so did you always like, have you always had the gift or how did you get into this per se? Because you kind of have it or you don't is what the common conception is of a medium and psychic.
There's so many different stories. I feel like I was just kind of shoved into it. It was like, yo, you're doing this, like it or not. But I do call it an ability, not a gift, because I do think that more people have the ability than you think. I don't think everybody is a medium. I do believe that everybody is psychic, intuitive, or empathic. Everybody can feel into each other, into the energy in a room. I mean, how many times you walk into a room and you're like, yo, you can cut this with a knife. Like you can feel energy. It's scientific. It's proven. Like energy's energy, right? You can feel that. That's all the psychic, intuitive, empathic stuff. Medium, not everybody is a medium. There's born mediums, and then there's mediums that kind of can pop into it. A lot of times if you have a lot of loss in your life, or you have a really traumatic experience or a near-death experience, you can kind of what they call pop into mediumship. I'm a born medium. So, and a lot of born mediums are like this, right? We have like these weird things happen when we're kids and we're like, yo, that's odd. Don't like that. Would really rather not have that. It's weird. So a lot of times we shut it down. We shut
Yeah.
it down, then we go about our lives, and we sometimes often try to squash it
Mm-hmm.
and make sure we don't feel things and we don't hear or see or anything. We don't want to do anything. So that happened for quite a while with me. But then after my children, things started kind of popping up more. And when I say popping up more, I mean like I see, hear, and feel
Oh
spirit.
wow. So you're all five, so you're
Not
no, yeah, what, four. Let me learn how to count. You're all four.
Yeah.
You're four
Out
out
of
of
all
five.
those clairs, because everybody knows, and it's good that you brought that up too, because they're called clairs, right? Everybody's got clairvoyance. When you dream, when you see things in your mind, I always tell kids too, because I teach a lot of kids, clairvoyance is just imagination, right? We're just seeing
Mhm.
stuff in our minds. It's the same type of thing. It's just in mediumship, you believe what you see, and then you roll with it, right? You
Yeah.
roll down the path of, oh, what am I seeing, and what does that make me feel, and what does that make me hear? And so those things are your clairvoyance going into clairsentience and clairaudience. You're feeling, you're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like driving a car. You just kind of like shift all those things, or you're looking at all your mirrors while you're driving. And it's like, okay, what does that thing in my mind make me feel? And then do I hear anything with it? And you just kind of keep going round and round and round and make a story out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we kind of just dove right into what mediumship is for me, but
Yeah.
that's how it works for
But
me.
I love that explanation. I also loved how you said it, the ability, because I think that's how you can tell the difference, honestly, between a charlatan and in this field. It's just the way. I mean, that was such an eloquent
That's the sixth
explanation.
Claire. Yeah. The sixth Claire is clairannoyance, where you know what the that's where you know you get that sixth sense to develop like discernment against these charlatans. That's the whole point of this podcast.
So true.
That really is. And you have to have innate trust in yourself especially if you're going to go on such a fluent wheel, so to speak, from trusting, your vision to your hearing to your feeling. So that, right, the amount of trust that you have to have during this process. And that's not something spirit, divine, whatever you like to call it, that's what they slay it. That's a slammer, like it's like, this is what you're doing.
Totally.
You have no choice. And when you have that sort, so what was did you have a spiritual awakening?
No.
Did you, or was it just like your kids
No.
were here and it was like, you're doing this now?
That's what I always say.
bus.
Like it's so like normal. Like I don't have this like huge like
That.
oh my like it just started happening, right? And like for me, I want to have my own life experience too. Right. So I want to be able to go out in crowds and enjoy myself. I turn it on, I turn it off. And I think that's also something to be said about like having the ability and learning how to use your ability is to learn how to turn it on and turn it off. That's one of the first thing I teach.
Do you think shutting it down as a kid helped you when it came like back later on to learn how to shut it off? Because I feel like people who would pop into it later on in life maybe would have a harder time learning how to protect themselves.
Interesting. I never really considered that, Ryan. That's a good question. And
Love it.
I don't know if that helped or not. Yeah, no, that's so good because then it kind of shows like, all right, I was strong enough in my mindset to turn it off. And then, because that's what it is, it's the mindset and it's how strong can you be in your ability to, like you were saying too, Megan, like trust yourself and trust spirit and all that. So maybe it did help in the long run. And maybe it did make me realize that, okay, I have two different lives that I can lead here. One that's like super woo, and then one that's super like norm.
I do the same, and I love that. Yeah, because I want to be human. Like I want to have a nice time.
Yeah,
like I
we're
want
here for a
like
reason.
exactly. I'm not a party trick. Like I'm not.
I always say, I'm not going to be your monkey. Don't make me dance.
Exactly. I'm not a party trick, and so I have clear sets of friends where like some people fully believe in what I do and other people are like, whatever, bitch. Like, sure.
Totally.
Sure.
I love when I have people that don't believe because I'm like, listen, honey, I have a hard time with it sometimes too.
Yeah, and I got nothing to prove. And your energy, you're lovely. Like you got nothing to prove. So it's like, all right, sweet. But
Bring
then eventually when things get weird, who you gonna call?
That's right. Who are you gonna call?
Who
I
you
love
gonna
when
call?
people
Things
call
get
me
weird.
too.
It's like Katie, is my
And you know
grandma
the
here?
first thing I say to them is I'm like, dude, that is weird. What the hell is going on with you?
That is so funny. So, what do you think are the biggest myths or like biggest misconceptions that people have about what you do?
You know what? I think a lot of people think that this is, I don't want to say easy, but it's like, they're like, oh, so what do they look like when you see them? And I'm like, yo, listen, it's not like that. Like, I have to work hard for understanding the language, right? Everybody has a different language with spirit. And mine, like I said, is hear, see, and feel. Like, and you don't know what that's like. You're like, hey, today I'm going to decide that when I see a red balloon in my head, that's going to be indicative of a birthday. Okay. So spirit, put that in my head. And then I'll feel like, oh, maybe that's grandma's birthday. And then, hey, is your grandma have a birthday this month? Yes. Oh my God. Everybody's like, oh, that's amazing. You know, it's like, okay, but like, how did we get there? We got there because I worked my butt off to try to figure out what the hell spirit's trying to say and how they're trying to say it. You know, so like it's not as easy and cut and dry as everybody thinks. And it takes literally doing it over and over and over to get better and better and better. And I'm never going to get there, but I'm going to try to get somewhere with it all the time. I consistently show up to do it even when I'm sick, sad, upset, when I want to do something else. And honestly, I'm scared every single time. Like, trust is a huge thing. Like, trusting myself in my regular life is always like this parallel journey to trusting myself in my spiritual life and with the mediumship and how I work for other people. Because if I can't trust myself like day to day, I can't trust myself in a reading.
And showing
And
up is so important. I mean,
so
so
important.
showing, I mean, and it's usually when you're in the shittiest of spots where you have like, you're like, I'd rather light
God.
myself on fire than do this. And then it's like the
Mhm.
best experience. And you're like, I'm so glad that I didn't let my personal crap interfere with this
Yeah.
today.
And honestly, that's a huge thing for me. And I really haven't talked about it a lot, but I kind of feel drawn right now to really express it. And Ryan knows this because he's been really working with me for years with his amazing astrology skills and interpretations. But I've been going through a divorce for years now. It's been a while.
Oof.
And it's really interesting. I have nothing negative to say about, you know, the person involved in it or anything like that. That's not what it's about. For me, it's always been about the journey. And literally the day that I left, I remember saying to Spirit, I was like, listen, you're going to have to help me out here because I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't.
Yeah.
And it's been very emotional. It's been very hard. But literally since the day I left, Spirit's been bringing me people to read. And it's just like, they're like, hey, can I pay you? Hey, can I pay you? And it's like, it's become a thing. Like, you ask how I got into it. I got into it because I liked it and I started developing. And then all of a sudden I made a big change in my life and Spirit supported me through it. And I've had a consistent amount of clients for the last 2.5 years while I've been going through all this. And I'm
That's a
grateful.
long time. That's a hell of a
Yeah.
time to be going through something like
Mhm.
It
that.
is. It is, but Spirit's been with me the whole way. And even when things are really crappy, shitty, I don't know if I can cuss on here, but I just
Yeah,
Oh
did.
yeah,
yeah, of
drop
Okay,
all the
course.
super, super, so glad. Makes me feel a
Yeah.
lot better. I should have asked that in the
yeah.
first place. But no, I mean, it's been a shitstorm, honestly. But like, I mean, I've been on the ground crying because I have kids too, you know? And but then you get up and you do the reading because you know what? There's other people out there that need help too. And I want to help them the way that I want to be helped. Like, I go to mediums and psychics, I want readings, I want messages. So I just want to be able to give back to other people what I would also want too. I mean, it's like a
Yeah,
BOGO. We all win, right?
absolutely. It's interesting when you're going through such turmoil in your personal life and then you still have to show up. Just the dichotomy of being human. And I think that when I call myself an intuitive healer, but when you are that, it's, we have bad days and we are going through things and we still show up in a clear mind, or at least trying to. And it is scary. I mean, it's weird as shit. Like, the
Yeah.
whole thing is
Yeah.
weird, like, how do you tell people that this is, like,
Yeah.
trying to bring legitimacy to a profession like this when there are a whole bunch of whack
So
jobs.
difficult.
You know, which is why we started this
Totally.
podcast, you know, where it's just, and everyone thinks that they have a divine channel. And you do, but not every thought is divine.
Oh my
And so
God, no.
having the process to then have to trust yourself to be like, okay, red balloon, and knowing that, well, I don't think about red balloons often, so this isn't the journey is, because I think most people think that grandpa comes in and is like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and even that trust that you were talking about, like the universe shows up to everybody differently. And so, I think it's like literally a muscle, right? You have to practice that
Mhm.
Totally.
intuitive muscle and like trust that the universe is manifesting itself to you in a way you'll uniquely understand. And you have to learn what to trust and discern. I took a mediumship class once, just like for fun. And it wasn't for fun, actually. I was like, I had a tarot reading,
It's
and
such
then
a
the tarot
Gemini
reader.
thing. You know what?
Well, I
I'm gonna
mean,
delve
Why
in.
not?
no, I had a tarot reading, and the tarot reader was like, I think mediumship might be trying to come through for you. Here's a class that I think would be really good for you. And I was like, okay, and signed up. And I liked it. It was really good. I actually like became kind of friends with the teacher on social. And anyway, the
Not
teacher
you.
is so interesting. And I know, whatever. And the teacher is so interesting. She had so many good stories, but I remember this one she was talking about with like the trust factor and how it was Christmas time, like right next to Christmas. And she was doing readings at this store here in LA, and somebody came in, and all she could see was a Christmas tree in her head. She was like, I'm not, what am I supposed to do with this? It's Christmas. Like, of course, I'm seeing a Christmas tree. How am I supposed to tell this lady I'm seeing a Christmas tree right now? And she finally was like, I am so sorry, but like, all I'm getting is Christmas trees. And the lady like broke down in front of her and was like, that's my grandpa. He was obsessed with Christmas trees. He had one in every single room. He had one for like every holiday. It was like his thing, and that's my grandpa. So it made sense, but it was like her
Yeah.
ability to trust. She was so close to not even saying I'm seeing a Christmas tree because it's that simple
Because your
to
own, yeah,
mistrust
your own
yourself.
crab.
Yeah.
Do you find that
Totally.
people like use you? I mean, and you probably have like that sense, but do you feel like when you're meeting someone and they find out, well, read me, you know, like, or are
Oh
you
yeah.
yeah, because of how you separated your personal life and then this, you know, your soul business life, you know, like, are you able to shut it off? Because that's always an interesting dichotomy, especially because Katie and I are both in Charleston, a unique, weird little portal.
So weird. Such a small town. It's like you can play like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon like every single day. And you always know somebody who knows somebody. It's so crazy. But yeah, no, I shut it off. And honestly, I'm not that. So my normal personality is I kind of just love everybody. I'm not very discerning. I don't see anything bad. Like, so I'm just like welcoming and open to everybody. I don't naturally read people really well, to be honest. I'm just like, hey, how are you?
That's a
Come into my
gift in
group.
itself.
But I will say, I do have some friends and acquaintances that will sometimes ask for things, and I am so blunt about it. I'm like, not performing for you. No, no, not
Good.
looking into it. I just don't. It's a real cut and dry thing for me. It's like I absolutely don't do it. And every now and then, I make it very clear, like with spirit, that I don't want any breakthroughs. Like I don't let you come in while I'm like shopping at Target or I'm at a concert.
Yeah.
I will say though, it does happen every now and then.
Oh,
Mhm.
And it just irks me because I'm like, not right now. Now I look weird, right? Now I'm
right.
zoning off. Now I'm in this weird space. Now I am like not social. I'm like, oh God, I look like I've got like a problem. It's
Totally.
awful. It's
Well, and
Yeah.
embarrassing.
like the Long Island medium that, you know, like she'll go up to be, and that the first rule I was taught was like respect boundaries.
Totally.
Do not go up to some, like, you have to, they might not want to talk to you. They might be having a bad day. So when you see people, you know, and I'm just referencing that show since it's so popular, but like, oh, let me tell you all about this. Like, you could really send someone into a bad day. And so
Totally.
that's one issue that I have with, because there's no laws, there's no legislator. This is all a gray area. It's just like you better hope that the person you're working with has integrity.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And honestly, I feel the same way. Like, I'm like, yo, this is like, I'm not looking in your soul. I'm not peeping in. Like, when, like nobody's asking me to read them, I'm not going to read them. Right. But I will say there's been a couple times where that's happened. And one time I felt terrible because the person had to leave work because it was beautiful, very healing, but they were so emotional, they had to leave. And I was like, yikes, like, I feel bad about that. So, like, I don't do that. I don't try to do that. And honestly, if spirit is so amazing, which I believe all of them are, like rock and roll, I'm down. If you're not, that's cool, but I am. I think spirit's amazing. If you need to break through while I'm at a concert and you can do that, hold off. Get that person to come to me for a reading. Find a way, find some way, shape,
Yeah.
form, and they'll come to me. I'll give them a reading in a better space, whatever. But this is not the time or place. I mean, I have it out with my guides and spirit kind of on the reg. I'm like, this is not how I do things. It's
We're
not
at
how I want to do
Metallica,
things.
dude. Yeah, like yeah. Concert tickets are expensive.
I mean, I have
Yeah.
things to do. I schedule my time for spirit and I schedule my time for being human. Come on, not right
Boundaries, though.
now.
I think that's
Right.
so important. And when you stick to your boundaries, it just it operates so much
Totally.
smoother
And
for
here's a
everyone
total
involved.
mind bender, total mind bender. And this is where I'm such a dweeb about mediumship and how much it impacts life. I find that a lot of times spirit will break through and penetrate those boundaries for me when in my personal life, my boundaries are sucking butt too.
Ah.
Yikes, right?
Mirror, mirror.
I also love the term sucking butt. I will be yeah, I will be using that on the regular. Thank you for that.
I have a mouth.
Oh, girl, welcome. Isn't that interesting though? When you're disrespecting yourself in your personal life, then divine, soul, spirit is like, guess what? I'm gonna disrespect you too.
Right? I mean, isn't that crazy? I mean, I'm always fascinated by it. And I'm like, all right, touche. I feel you. I
But
got
then
it.
kind of going back and understanding, okay, but like I'm kind of the one in charge at the same time. I'm the one living in this body. This is my
Yep.
life, and like putting it kind of back in play and saying, I'm okay, now I'm back in control. Here's what I need and want from you right now. I think it's
Totally.
really important. There's a shaman that like I love, and he was just giving somebody ancestral advice yesterday, and he was saying like they were like, what if like my ancestors have like all this, bad family karma and I'm the one here doing this ancestral clearing, and you know what I'm talking about? We'll go into this in our shamanism episode later on. But like the lady was like, what do I do? And he was like, oh, you tell your ancestors I'm not cleaning up your mess. You guys get back down here and fix what you did because that's not my job. I'm living my own life right now. I was
Damn
like,
right.
that shaman said that because there's this whole thing of like ancestral clearing going on right now. Now, like you're the one for the family, cleaning the family line. And it's like, I don't want that. I want my
Well, but
own
sometimes
life.
putting boundaries in place that's the step one. That is helping everybody
Exactly.
out,
Exactly.
So
Yes, totally.
how
It's great to get
fascinating.
called out when you're out of control or you don't have those boundaries. Like, thank you for letting me know. Okay, got it. But then when I put those back up, do not mess with me.
That's
Human
right.
or spirit, I don't care.
Have you had any interactions with like a, dark being, for lack of a better word, like
Yeah.
just negative or like, yo, murder, did it,
Demons. We
you
just had a
know?
paranormal episode and
Oh,
talked about
yeah.
demons.
Yeah, Paranormal Karen.
Ooh,
And
I
what
want
I
to hear
loved
that
about
one.
her was Paranormal Karen gave a great piece of advice. And she was like, if you
Oh,
ever feel out
good.
of control, say like, so like I am Megan Lund and like and coming back
Yeah.
to your space because it can give you the heebie-jeebies
Yeah.
sometimes, and then you'll freak yourself out. But I think that was such a great piece of advice. You just say your name over and over
Over and
again when
over. Or like, I
when
know who
you're
I
in the
am. I know who I,
presence,
yeah.
if you've
Oh,
gotten
I love
somewhere that you
that.
don't need to be. But yeah, have you
Right.
had any like a murder confession or like, hey, I'm bad
Yeah.
news. Like I'm a bad news bear and I'm here.
I'm a bad news bear. I love that. Well, first of all, I love the part about being like in control. And that's what it is. That's a lot of the stuff that I teach too, is like, this is yours. You do it how you want to do it. They're not here. You have the body, you have the power, you decide how you want this to be. Same goes for dark entities, light entities, whatever. And again, I've chosen not to work with the dark. I have seen the dark when I was younger. I've had experiences. I just don't want to deal with it. And again, you can't have light without dark and vice versa. So of course it's there. Of course I understand it and believe in it and give it respect because I mean, honestly, you can't have one without the other. But I don't deal with it here and now. And I mean, I've channeled those that have passed from suicide, and I usually give it out of respect. It's they take responsibility for their own passing a lot of the times, and then others that have passed from like a murder type situation. But I have never once felt like I was out of control or lost in a dark space while channeling or anything like that, because that's just a boundary that I laid before I even opened up to begin doing the work. And I think everybody has that ability to lay that boundary and to stick to it and to say, no matter what, you're not coming in. And I mean, 2.5 years I've been doing this, I would consider, I guess, professionally, which is kind of weird to say it like that. But
yeah, no, you're totally profesh.
I guess we'll call it a thing. It's a thing. And I've never once had an issue with anything like that.
Interesting.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Do you find they come like at personality? I mean, where you be like, oh, grandma, or your Fido was sassy, like
One of my favorite, so for me, it's evidential mediumship, right? So I love to give evidence of those that have passed and everything. And when I learned, everybody says like, you got to give like age, rank, and serial number. It's always like, okay, this is who, it was a male or a female. They passed of lung cancer. They're around 80 years old. That's not really how my mediumship goes. And it took me a while to understand that like I didn't have to fit into the mold of everybody else. I have a lot of personality. So wouldn't it just make sense that one of the biggest pieces of evidence that I bring through is actually personality? So if Fido's sassy, honey, I'm going to bring Fido in sassy as sassy can be. If grandma was kind of a terse bitch, grandma's going to come in as a terse bitch. That's how we roll. And guess what? I've channeled some drag queen energy. I mean, I channel everybody, and I channel them just as the way they were here and now. Does that mean that that's how they are on the other side, quote unquote, or without a body in spirit? No, I mean, that's not necessarily how they are anymore. But what better evidence than the real essence of who they were while they walked this earth? Like that's the evidence that I love to give. And guess what? Sometimes it's not like extremely particular, but I've never had a single client say like, oh, that personality wasn't on point. It's like, no, that was her or that was him. I felt it.
No, but I
want them to feel it,
And it feels more, I don't know, personal than being like,
true.
Is there an older gentleman who passed away in your family? Like,
right.
Probably somewhere.
Was there a male and female in your family?
Right. Because for me, it's more like, oh man, I got a guy here right now. He's coming in and he's like, damn, was I wrong about you? I am so sorry I didn't believe in who you were while you were here in the physical world. I apologize because guess what? I was a stubborn mule. Hey, Dad, what's up? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's
cool.
different. That's a different type of reading. And it took me a while actually to realize like, okay, I don't read like the classes I've taken, which if anybody's listening or watching that's taking classes at some point, stop taking the freaking classes. You do it the way you do it, because that's the only way you're going to get through it.
Well, and like, I think the class 100%. I took was, it was helpful in the sense that it wasn't just, well, I guess they called it mediumship for witches, which, witch is a
I remember
loaded
when you took that
word.
class. Now
it was so great.
That.
It was
that
so
was
great
like,
because you learn about all the clairs, and like I already knew a lot on that stuff, but like you learn about all the clairs, you learn about all these different psychic world things, and all of that opens you up much more so to being a medium. So I always recommend like courses of some sort if you vibe with the teacher, but yeah, at a certain point you definitely need to know like, all right, each one of us is going to do our thing our own way in this field for sure.
But that's
where there's
integrity.
No regulating board. We're all going to do it our own way.
That's integrity though, because once again, it comes down to this is a completely gray area. So if you have a big personality and if you're able to, if you have that energy where you're able to lead, check the Carfax, people, check their credentials, and check your own gut. So I love that you're, take a class, get the foundation, but then put your own spin on it. And trust me, if you're out of bounds or out of line, you'll know. You'll get.
Oh yeah, you'll know.
That's the truth. Chickadee, check that.
Yeah. if you can say, what's the craziest like experience where you're like, holy shit, good, bad, indifferent, magic, like where it was just like maybe you crapped yourself.
Oh my God, that's a really good question. I should have thought about that one ahead of time. There have been so many times. I mean, just to take something recently, I know I had a reading the other day where there was a date come through. I was like, all right, when it's more specific, you get nervous, right? A lot of times I'll try to deliver something a little softer, whatever, like instead of like, I think there's a birthday around May, instead of being like, no, I know there's one in May, like you try to deliver softer. Just the other day, I had a reading where it came through. I was like, there is a date, and it was like May 3rd. And I was like, May 3rd is so important because it's a birth date, but it's also a conception date. Like there's two, and I was very specific about it, right? And this is just something that kind of, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's small, but for me as a medium, it was huge because I trusted myself. And not only was that the date that somebody's birthday, somebody passed on that date, and it was the day she conceived. It was like a date that was so important. It was specific. It was May 3rd. It was like right on. And it meant so much in that moment. Literally, her and I just burst into tears because we both realized in that moment just how real this is. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, that just happened a couple weeks ago. And out of all the years that I've done this, I've had a lot of moments where the evidence is so on point that you're just like, damn, and I'm like, oh my God, you can't fathom it. You can't make it up. You can't put your finger on it, and you can't deny it.
Yeah.
And that type of experience, I would say, is worth, like, if I had to sum up what I do in anything, it would be like that type of experience where the evidence is just so on point that there's nothing else to it. It's like we could just be done now, and you can realize there's so much more to life, and you go forward and you realize that your whole life is different now because you know something that you didn't know before. Like there's more.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just a big moment really for somebody, especially somebody's first reading or something, when they hear one piece of evidence that does it for them. That's like their view on life is different,
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that I got to be in the middle of that, and I get to kind of like be that voice for spirit to show somebody else that like there's a different way that you can view your life now. And then they go for it and they view it that way, and I get to be a part of that. Like that for me is always like such a mind-blowing freaking moment. It's like, damn. All right, it's worth every bit of it, no matter how scared I am every time.
I think you should be terrified. Like I'm all like reading new people. It is scary because it's like, and especially when you feel their trepidation or theirs, and I love it, but at the same time, it's like, all right, like, and I personally, I work with spirit guides, and I'm an intuitive healer. Like I wanted to work with the living because it was at the end of the day, I was like, everyone's cool. Like, like, yeah, everyone's good. Like, let me help you with your limited belief systems. Let me help you live this life that you were destined to live if you have, the cojones to go forward.
Cojones. I haven't heard cojones in a while.
I know. Megan's full of the buried treasures.
I'm gonna take that one with me today.
Do you have any grief addicts, like people who are like, they just, like repeat clients where at some point,
with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely, so understanding grief and the processes of grief and all that, because everybody has a different process, right? I know there's like in books, it's supposed to be a certain way. It's not that way for everybody. A lot of people can cycle through one part of it over and over and over. So I do have people that I would consider, they come a lot to talk to someone who's passed, but I never put a limit on it. And here's where, again, my trust in spirit goes a long way. Some other mediums say, like once a year or whatever, and that's totally understandable because then you can kind of like, stop the grief addicts in their track. For me, I just tell people whenever you feel the need to see me, try to get a hold of me. Like if I pop into your head, trust that. And for some reason, I've never had anybody that's like come too much or that I've had to say, hey, enough's enough. That's literally never happened in 2.5 years. And so again, I just kind of trust that spirit has a good handle on how they help everybody navigate certain parts of their grief process, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Like, so on the other end, has like someone showed up and then, their mom or whoever, it was like, nope, we ain't coming to play, like, and it was someone else because you can't control,
Totally.
who's coming to the party. So what's that
That's
like?
the
Where it's like, that's cool, but like, I want to talk to, Uncle Tim.
I usually, so that's my biggest thing is I'm always trying to get like your star. Like who's the star? The person or the
Uh-huh.
people that you want to talk to.
So good.
And for the most part that always it does happen. It happens. But I mean, I've had occasionally some people, I wouldn't say that they haven't heard from who they wanted to. It's just they want more, right? So it's like, well, I was really hoping to hear from Aunt Lucy. I'm like, well, you heard from mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and your brother. You want to hear from Aunt Lucy? You're gonna have to book it again.
No,
I
that's
got no
called
more
that's
energy.
called greed. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Good.
a little unrealistic expectations, and then greed.
Totally. Yeah. And again, I have so much trust, maybe sometimes too much. I put a lot of my energy and trust into guides and
I
spirits.
think
So
you're
it's
doing
like,
good. Yeah,
thanks, girl.
yeah.
Um,
I think your system is working.
Yeah.
whatever my system is like Hail Mary, hallelujah. I don't know. Like, let's just go. Let's just see what happens. Let's let it rip. And honestly, my belief is that you walk away hearing exactly what you need to hear at that time. And sometimes I've struck a chord with you. It don't matter to me because you know what? At the end of the day, you heard what you needed to hear during that reading. And again, that's a trust in spirit. That's a trust in giving my voice over to the divine or whoever during that time so that you get what you need. And most of the time they do. They hear from who they want to hear from, but they might hear some things that they don't want to hear from that
Yeah.
person. But hey, that's on you. That's your process. Have fun with that. Bye.
And you give them do you give like a disclaimer about that in advance, or like you may hear things that like aren't what you're expecting?
I do actually. One of my biggest things too is I want everybody to take into account their own intuition and your own ability to discern and to feel into what's
Mm.
right and not right for you. So I can sit here all day and tell you, honey, that man is not right for you. And you know what? That might be exactly what you need to hear because in that moment you realize, no, that man is everything that I want. And I'm going to fight
Yeah.
like hell to keep him. And you know what? It's like a coin flip. It's like when it flips, you know. So I don't care. I tell spirit all the time. I can be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. It's no skin off my
So
back
there's
as
no
long
ego.
as
I
no, I don't
love
care.
that. I love that. Because what just goes to show you, and that's the difference, ladies and gentlemen, between like a real deal Holyfield and then someone who's just like, I'm seeing sadness. And, have you encountered? I have a sharp mouth. I'll have to leave because otherwise I'm going to offend you when I see and I'm like, don't go to that.
Yeah.
Like that. What's that movie from the '90s with Steve Martin where he was? I forget. He was a televangelist and he was pretending to heal everyone. I forget what it is. But anyway, what do you do when you encounter somebody like that? Or have
So,
you?
oh God, there's so many people that believe that this is like that they do the work, and a lot of times too, it'll be like out in just like a public scene, and people are like, "Well, I'm an intuitive." I'm like, "Oh, how's that go for you? Tell me about that." Yeah, no, that's good. I honestly like when somebody feels the need to broadcast it. That's usually when I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't say much. I really don't because at the end of the day, it's not for I don't know. It's just I don't want to get involved in it. I don't even want to bring myself to that level because I'm so grateful and thankful for like where I am with my journey that your journey kind of really doesn't honestly matter to me about it.
Yeah.
I kind of sound like an a-hole when I
No,
say it like that.
No,
but
it's
no,
true. It's
absolutely
true.
not.
I feel the same with astrology sometimes where I'm like, if somebody finds out at a bar that I'm an astrologer and they're like, oh my God, I'm like not professional, but like I've been studying it for years. And like, what do you think about this? And they name some weird like technical topic in astrology. I'm like, I think I don't want to talk about it over my whiskey rocks right now. Like, get out of here. What is your deal? Okay.
So true. It's so true. I know a lot of times people too, like if I wear my Pisces necklace, people be like, oh my God, are you a Pisces? I'm a Pisces too. Oh my God, I'm a total Pisces. I'm like, I'm a little bit more my rising sign, but that's another conversation for another day. We're good.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
If you could tell someone about this process, what would that be? Like what to
Ooh.
expect, what to look for, what to whatever, like pick that gem, how you that open-ended question,
Gonna
how
say
you
that.
like.
That's a beaut right there, huh?
Yeah.
All right, we can go a lot of different ways with that. First way I want to go is I feel like I don't want to say it like in a negative way at all. It's not a negative connotation, but like for all the muggles, anybody who doesn't really like dabble in magic, right? Like, give us a break. We are really, we're really trying here, but it's not an exact science. And guess what? We're aware of that too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we're trying to, a lot of us, what I refer to as modern mystics, is we're trying to live this life here and now while also having a little magic in our lives. We understand that a lot of it's not qualifiable, quantifiable, all that type of stuff, but we are doing our best to give it respect. It's not a religion. Like, just give us a little respect as we work through it too, right? Give us a break. So that's for the muggles. Anybody who's into the witchy woo woo and wants to get into it more, like, do it your way. Do it your way. Because there's so many different ways to do it. And you get so caught up in all the different ways that you lose sight of not only your way, but you lose sight of who you are too. And that was happening to me as well. I was like, well, I'm supposed to read like this. Everybody's like, you need to slow down. You need to look at somebody when you read. You need to do, you know what? I'm thankful for all the learning that I did and all the teachers along the way. But the only way to it was through it for me.
Totally.
I just had to like basically be naked and sit in front of people and be vulnerable and do it over and over again, which seems to be my life in general. It's like, oh, is that hot? Let me touch it. Let me touch it. Let me touch it. So that's the way I went with it. Just keep going, guys. Just keep touching the fire.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I would say to people. Just keep touching the fire because you'll figure out how you touch it and how to do it in a way that it doesn't burn, but you get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I love that. I mean, it's like, I think that's like honestly sound advice for anybody wanting to do anything in life. Like, nobody's making a name for themselves by necessarily being known as like a total imitator, right? You have to like respect those who came before you. It's good to know history of things, techniques, and like have your teachers and all of this. But at the same time, you really have to feel confident enough to put yourself, your own imprint on something and let that define you. Like, you have to be your own person at the end of the day in anything.
Totally. And it can be scary. It really can, because you're like, oh God, I'm doing it different than other people. Like, how's this going to go? Well, at the end of the day, it's yours. It's you. And that's actually what's going to set you apart and maybe make you, more.
110%. Being an individual amongst a whole bunch of kumbayars, no offense, but that's, I mean, anytime I went to get a recertification, that's where I was like, I cannot. I will not. I'm not comfortable. This is inauthentic. I'd get away from me. I do not want to kumbaya by the fire. Like, please.
Exactly.
Stop.
That's always the best thing, that when people come to me and they're like, you're totally different than I thought you would be. And I'm like, I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You're, like, you're a lot
Yeah.
more grounded than I thought you would be. I'm like, yep. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
That means it just shattered the stigma you had in your head. Awesome. Love it.
Exactly.
True.
Boom.
Break that stereotype. This has been so enlightening, Katie. Like, thank you
It's
so
been
much.
amazing. Yeah.
Where
She is
so fun.
wonderful. Yeah, you are wonderful. What projects do you have coming up? How do people work with you? We're going to put everything in the show notes. Promote yourself, my lady. How do people get on your books?
So I do have my website, which is katieosoul.com. And I know you said you'll put it in the notes, so you'll see the spelling there. But yeah, honestly, just check my website and my Instagram. I honestly don't have too much going on social media wise right now. And that does have a little bit to do with that fun little personal divorce situation going on. But it's almost over. And I really do. I'll be having more classes coming up soon. But I do work with people one-on-one, individually. I also just message me. There are times that I can always kind of work with people a little bit here and there. So if you don't see a time that works for you, just message me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
And she's amazing. Really do look into her. I've definitely worked with my fair share of mediums, and like, Kate, the experience with you was just lovely, 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 and uniquely you. It really was. It was so different. So book her up.
Oh,
I mean,
love
she's already
that.
booked
Thanks,
up.
guys.
But
Thank
like,
you for
jump
having
on.
me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. You like it. Your energy is wonderful. And Ryan did have, he came out of his session with you. Was like, dude, you got to meet her. You guys are in Charleston. Like, I got to hook this up. She is incredible. So, and he is a no bullshitter, as you know. So,
My favorite thing about him.
Well,
Awesome.
until next time. And if you need us a clairvoyance, you know where to find us. CLAIR annoyance.com.
I spell it so good. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.